guys if you would like to see how I use this awesome kitty cat mould and this mica powder to do some experiments. Keep watching. Hey everyone, it's Squdge here, and today we're going to be looking at mica powders. So I have this mould here, which is just a little teardrop with a paw print in the centre. Okay. What we're going to do is, in one, we're going to cover the mould itself with the mica powder, and in the other we're going to be mixing the mica powder with the resin, and we'll see how the looks compare using the same mica. When you're using micas, you need to wear a respirator because it is a very, very fine powder. So I'm going to go and do that now, and I'll be back with you. Okie dokie, so I've just got out some of the tools that I'm going to need: some pots, a paintbrush, the mica powder, respirator as I said, and my gloves. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to we're going to scoop out some mica powder from the little bag into one of my silicone pots, and that powder I will add resin to shortly. I'm going to dip my paintbrush in. This is just a soft paintbrush, you can use any sort of them, and just rub that mica powder all over every surface. So you want it on the base, you want it on the side, you need to get in between all the bits and pieces, in between the pads, up at the top where that hole is for it to become a pendant or an earring or what have you. You need to go all around that as well, and around the top. And you're just basically rubbing this into the mould. And what will happen is when the resin goes in, it will pick it up, and so it will take it off and the resin will take that colour. I'm then going to, when I could eventually get into the sellotape, just clear up any excess powder that is on my mat, because what I don't want, and on the brush, what I don't want is once I'm done and I'm coming in the next day or whenever it is to come and demould these, I don't want loose mica powder around, because as I said, it will get into your lungs and it can damage you. I'm now just tapping off the excess onto a piece of tape, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to mix the clear resin in with that same colour of mica powder. I do love watching mica powder being mixed into resin. It is just sort of hypnotising. I could watch it all day. I'm going to give each little tub a quick blast of the torch to pop any bubbles, and then we're going to pour them in. So the clear one is going to go into, sorry for my head, the clear one is going to go into the one that's got mica powder in the mould, and the coloured one will be in the other side. So I'm just going to gently pour that in, make sure it fills up all the spaces, let it level for a second. Do the same with the one with the mica powder, pour it in, leave it a second. You need to let these level. Resin is self-levelling. It will do it on its own if you give it time. It's better than flooding it and having to try and take resin out. Okay, please, we are back to demould our pieces. So this darker piece is the one with the mica powder mixed into the resin, and this was the piece that we dusted. So let's start with part one, which is interesting colour. If the camera will pick up all of the flecks of colour, because it was called purple gold, and it's got some quite interesting bits, and I'll take a picture to show you. And of course the sun goes behind a cloud while I'm filming, so it all goes really dark. Do I need to put natural? Do I need to put the actual lights on even? Not natural. Is that any better? A little bit, possibly. Yeah, so here's this one. I really like that one. So now let's do the one that we've dusted. So this is where we rubbed the mica powder all over the inside of the mould, and it is it's got a lovely translucency to it. You can definitely see the colour is there, but it is very different. And I'm going to do one more test. Okay, so this was both clear resin. Now I'm going to dust both of them, and we're going to fill one with clear resin and one with resin tinted with black, because I've researched that these darker these colours come out better with dark resin behind them. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to dust both of them, and then we're going to fill one with clear, one with black, and then we will see how they are tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to put all my PPE on again, get my mica and my paintbrush. Now I didn't put gloves on this time. It was a very, very hot day and I had my respirator on, and I thought, I'm not touching resin just yet. I can at least wash this mica off my hands. So I will have gloves on as soon as I touch the resin, I promise. So I'm just going around the same as I did the first time, and I'm just going to make sure every surface is covered, and I'm going to try and aim to have both sides to have the same amount. I want it to look the same sort of depth of colour before I pour any resin, because I really want this to be as fair as possible, and for it just to be the colour of the resin that will make that difference. So I'm going to make sure both moulds have the same amount of mica covered, and then we're going to mix up our resin. Now I know I kept saying clear again, I was having brain farts that day. We're going to do one with white resin and one with black resin. A lot of people say if you're going to dust with mica like this, definitely use an opaque resin behind it rather than a clear like I did. But they also suggest using a darker colour helps the colours really pop. So I thought, well, I'll use the black and the white, they're both opaque colours, and we'll see which one ends up looking more striking, which one looks more accurate. So again, I've put tape over the top of the mould to make sure that there's nothing going to spill out. I'm going to clean up my work surface again. We don't want little bits of mica powder, because if you move your mat and that gets up into the air, you can breathe it in and it's not good. I'm then going to turn my mould upside down and just tap off any excess mica. And that's why I've put tape on it, because now I can turn it over and know that the mica I tap out is going to be, there you go, on that tape, and the tape can go straight in the bin. So I've mixed up my resin. I'm going to use this black pigment dye. It does say translucent, but when you add 4 drops on, it goes pretty much opaque. It's brilliant. I'm then going to do the same with some white. So I've got the same white pigment from Sophie and Toffee, but when you put enough in, it does become opaque. That's what I love about these. They're so useful. You can do them either way. So I've mixed up my resin. We're going to put the black on one side and the white on the other. So I'm going to pour it in, let it spread out and level. I apologise for my head getting in the way there. I just wanted to make sure. Again, we're going to pour it through, give it time to self-level, and then top it up. So between each time I'm adding a little bit, I am waiting so that the resin can spread out and level itself, so that it looks nice and neat right at the end. Okie dokie, we are back to demould our pieces. So just to remind you, this was what we started with. So this was the mica powder mixed into the resin. This was then mica powder dusted on the mould with clear resin inside. And then we have mica powder dusted with white resin and with black resin. So we'll start with the white. Pop these out without. There we go. So there is that one. You like that colouring on it? That is pretty. So we are darker than the clear resin, but not as dark as it mixed in with the resin. Let's do the black now. And there is it mixed with the black resin. That is definitely different. Right. Okay. So as you can see, there are the 4. So we have got the mica powder mixed into the resin. Get this really nice solid colour all the way through. It looks the same on the front and the back. I think that is lovely. Next we have the mica powder dusted on the mould with clear resin. This is very translucent. In fact, I would go so far as to say transparent. I can read through that. Yep, with ease. So So that is very transparent. I don't know if I should possibly have put more mica on the mould. Not 100% sure. There is a slight difference between front and back that isn't showing on the camera. Just where this has got the mica and this is clear, but not a huge difference. Then we have the dusting of the mould with white resin. Now this gives quite a pale lilac-y colour, which I think is really beautiful. And then obviously on the back you do have the white. But I do like that. It's a nice even colour. Not cover. I was trying to say coverage and colour, so I came out with cover. So it's a nice even colour. I think that is quite nice. But what I notice in these two is that you can't really see the gold. So this powder, is gold purple. And in this one you can see the flakes of gold. When you move it around, when the light hits it, you can see those sort of, it's almost like a glitter in there. It's not, but it's almost like a glitter. And I can't see that in either of these. But in this one I'm starting to see little bits of it. So these were dusted with the same amount of mica. This one, obviously, if you turn to the back, is black. But on the front you do have that nice purple colour. And this definitely has more of a gold tone to it. But yeah, so there is my little experiment with playing with mica powders. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. I love talking to you all. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I do papercraft and resin content. As we get into September, things may be slightly different due to me going back to work, hopefully, depending on how things happen with the virus. So things may be a little different, but I will let you know as soon as I know what my plans will be. And yeah, thank you very much for spending time with me today, guys. Keep crafting and I'll see you soon. Bye.